Hey gang, and welcome back. Just a reminder, you can now use the promo code MTGMudsta, all caps, at flipsidegaming.com. You'll get 10% off orders over $10 and help with the channel at the same time. This week we've got a bunch of new commanders, some new faces, and some old friends. Pat, who you may recognize from face-to-face games because of his tattoos, is playing his Oketra the True deck. Adam, who's not to be confused with Evil Adam or the other Adam, is playing my Daretti Scrap Savant deck. Andrew, who happens to share a name with me and is therefore great, who we will also call Also Andrew for the rest of this game, is playing Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, and I am playing Also Andrew's Zozu the Punisher deck. For openers, I keep a hand with 2 mountains, Darksteel Citadel, Valakut the Molten Pinnacle, Sulfuric Vortex, Steel Hellkite, and Flametongue Kavu. Pat keeps an opener with the Plains, Emeria the Sky Rune, Grim Monolith, Angel Serenity, Lightning Greaves, Sword of Light and Shadow, and Elspeth Knight Errant. Adam's opener has 3 mountains, Commander Sphere, Grim Monolith, Wheel of Fortune, and All is Dust. Lastly, Also Andrew keeps a hand with Sylvan Library, 2 Snow-Covered Forests, Duplicant, Ronus the Indomitable, Karametra's Acolyte, and Paradox Engine. Also Andrew wins the die roll and starts us off. For his first turn, Also Andrew plays a Snow-Covered Forest, and Pat blocks the view because of his dice bag. Pat plays a Plains and passes to me. I drop Valakut the Molten Pinnacle for my land drop, and I pass to Adam. Adam plays a Mountain and passes back to Also Andrew. Also Andrew plays his second Snow-Covered Forest and casts Sylvan Library before passing to Pat. For Pat's turn, he plays a Plains and casts Grim Monolith before passing to me. For my turn, I play a Mountain and I pass to Adam. Adam plays a Mountain, casts Grim Monolith, and then taps Grim Monolith to cast Commander Sphere. During his draw step, Also Andrew activates Sylvan Library's ability and he takes 4 to keep 1 extra card. He then plays Nykthos and casts Selvala before ending his turn. For Pat's turn, he plays a Plains and then casts Elspeth Knight Errant. Pat then uses Elspeth to generate a 1/1 soldier token, and he casts Lightning Greaves, equipping the Greaves onto the soldier and attacking me for 1. For my turn, I play a Mountain, and then I cast Sulfuric Vortex before passing to Adam. Adam takes 2 during his upkeep, and during his first main phase he plays a Mountain, and with nothing else, passes to Also Andrew. Also Andrew takes 2 during his upkeep, but chooses not to take any extra damage from Sylvan Library by not taking any extra cards. He then plays a Snow-Covered Forest and casts Ronus the Indomitable. This allows him to draw thanks to Selvala, and he does. He then pays 1 to tap Selvala, generating 5 green mana, and casts Karametra's Acolyte before passing to Pat. Pat takes 2 on his upkeep, and in his first main phase he plays Emeria the Sky Rune. He then casts Stoneforge Mystic to go find Skullclamp and puts it into his hand. During this time, Also Andrew decides to quench his thirst by drinking out of a jug of iced tea, and Pat uses Elspeth to make another soldier token. Pat then equips the Greaves onto the new token and swings 1 at me and 1 at Adam. On my upkeep, I also take 2 damage, and in my first main phase I play a Mountain and then cast Flametongue Kavu, who hits Also Andrew's Selvala. At the end of my turn, Adam uses the chance to untap his Grim Monolith. During his upkeep, Adam takes 2 damage, and for his first main phase he plays a Mountain and casts All is Dust. I'm kind of thankful that he did, because saying that everyone takes 2 during their upkeep is getting very tiring. With nothing else, Adam passes to Also Andrew. Also Andrew plays a Snow-Covered Forest during his first main phase, and he recasts Selvala before passing to Pat. For Pat's turn, he untaps, does nothing, and passes to me. For my turn, I play a Mountain, and I cast Zozu the Punisher before passing to Adam. For Adam's turn, he pays 3 and casts Wheel of Fortune, making us all pitch our hands and draw 7. Plays Inventor's Fair, and takes 2 from Zozu the Punisher, and taps 3 to cast Basalt Monolith before passing to Also Andrew. Also Andrew plays Ancient Tomb, taking 2 before even tapping the land, which I think is hilarious, and then casts Eternal Witness to return Paradox Engine to his hand. In response to Eternal Witness, Pat untaps his Grim Monolith. He then taps Ancient Tomb and Nykthos to generate 4 green mana and take 2 damage. Using 1 of the green mana, he taps Selvala to generate an additional 2, and with enough mana to cast Paradox Engine, the legendary artifact comes into play. On Pat's draw step, he reveals and miracles Entreat the Angels, generating 5 4/4 angels. During his first main phase, he plays a Plains and takes 2 from Zozu the Punisher. He then casts Steel Shaper's Gift, and Also Andrew casts Worldly Tutor, which allows him to untap all of his non-land permanents. Also Andrew finds Genesis Hydra, and Pat finds Sword of Feast and Famine. Pat then equips Greaves onto one of his angels, and he swings at Also Andrew for 4. For my turn, I play a Mountain, and I take 2 damage from Zozu because Zozu doesn't care who plays the lands, Zozu only punishes. I then cast Gamble and find a card and put it into my hand, and Gamble forces me to pitch Goblin Rune Blaster. I then play Molten Vortex and cast Blasphemous Act, which makes Pat realize he hit the wrong Andrew. With nothing else, I pass to Adam. On Adam's upkeep, he gains 1 life thanks to Inventor's Fair, and he plays a Mountain before casting Daretti. Adam then -2s on Daretti, sacrificing Darksteel Citadel to bring back Wormcoil Engine, and he casts Arcbound Ravager before passing to Also Andrew. Also Andrew plays a Snow-Covered Forest, and then taps out to cast Genesis Hydra for 6. He reveals the top 6 cards, and of them chooses Garruk Primal Hunter. He then uses Gruk's first minus ability to draw 6 cards thanks to Genesis Hydra, and the Planeswalker goes to the graveyard. With nothing else, he has to discard down to 7 and passes to Pat. Pat, because he's such a funny guy, snuck Entreat the Angels on top of his library. Well done, Pat. He then plays a Plains and casts his general, Oketra. He then pays 2 to put Sword of Feast and Famine on his general, and finally equips Lightning Greaves on it before passing to me. For my turn, I play a Mountain which triggers Valakut. I direct the damage at Adam and then choose to redirect it to Daretti, killing the Planeswalker. I then cast Siege Gang Commander and get 3 1/1 Goblin tokens and pass to Adam. Adam responds to my end of turn by untapping Grim Monolith. For his turn, Adam moves straight to combat, swinging Wurmcoil Engine at also Andrew. During his second main phase, he plays Sculpting Seal, copying Wurmcoil Engine, and drops a Mountain before passing turn. During his first main phase, also Andrew plays a Snow-Covered Forest, and having Xaxes, casts Tooth and Nail Entwined. He finds Vorinclex and Ulamog and puts them into his hand, before putting them directly onto the field. With nothing else, he passes to Pat. On Pat's turn, he miracles Entreat the Angels once again. During his first main phase, Pat plays a Plains and casts Solemn Simulacrum. He goes to find a Plains, albeit after he equips it with the Sword of Feast and Famine and Lightning Greaves. Moving to combat, he swings the Solemn Simulacrum at also Andrew, who blocks with Ulamog and allows Pat to draw a card. With nothing else, he passes to me. For my turn, I play a Mountain, and I deal 3 damage to also Andrew. I then cast Thoughts of Ruins, unfortunately misreading the your as a there in the card description. Unfortunately, misreading the card makes me rage pretty hard, and I pass to Adam. Once again, Adam skips his main phase and moves directly to combat, swinging both the Wurmcoil Engines at me. I choose to block with 2 Goblin tokens, and, before damage gets done, I sacrifice each of the Goblins thanks to Siege Gang Commander and deal 4 damage to also Andrew. This also has the added benefit of preventing Adam from gaining life. During his second main phase, Adam casts Blasphemous Act to wipe the ward. He then plays a Mountain and passes turn. On his turn, also Andrew makes it very clear that he's tired of me blasting him thanks to Valakut, and he swings Ulamog at me. I take 10 and sacrifice Molten Vortex and 3 Mountains. During his second main phase, he casts Rishkar's Expertise, drawing 10. This triggers Paradox Engine, which allows him to untap Ulamog, and I realize that Pat's been all too quiet. Also, Andrew puts Oracle of Moldiah onto the field thanks to Rishkar's Expertise and reveals the top card of his library. He then plays a Diamond Valley from his hand and casts Findhorn Elves and Mana Vault before passing to Pat. For being so annoying, I think Karma paid Pat back, and he draws a land and plays it before equipping Oketra and passing to me. I make a bit of a mistake and I untap my lands, but I don't do anything and I pass to Adam, so it evens out. At the end of my turn, Adam untaps Basalt Monolith and begins his turn. During his first main phase, Adam casts Gamble to find a card and put it into his hand. With a 33% chance of hitting the card, Adam reveals Mere Retriever, which unfortunately was not the card he tutored for. He then casts and cracks Mindslaver to take control of also Andrew's next turn, which is the card he tutored for. Moving to combat, he swings all of his Worm tokens at me, dealing 12 damage. With nothing else, Adam passes to himself. Adam moves directly to also Andrew's combat phase, swinging everything at Pat. During his second main phase, Adam taps all of also Andrew's lands, taking 2 from Ancient Tomb and using Diamond Valley to sack Findhorn Elves, gaining 1. With nothing else, he passes to Pat. For Pat's turn, he plays a Plains and casts Elspeth Tyrael, using her -2 to get 3 1/1 tokens. Moving to combat, he swings Oketra at Adam, dealing 10 damage, and getting double triggers from Sword of Feast and Famine. Adam is forced to discard 2 cards, and Pat is able to untap his lands twice. In response to the second untapping, Pat uses the mana to create a token thanks to Oketra. With nothing else, he passes to me. For my turn, I get a really sweet Mountain and I play it, and then I pass. For his turn, Adam moves straight to combat, swinging 2 tokens at also Andrew, killing him. With a hefty life total and 2 blockers, he passes turn. For Pat's turn, he plays a Plains and upticks Elspeth Tyrael, gaining 5 life. He then makes a 1/1 warrior token with Oketra, which he probably should have done before activating Elspeth. He then swings Oketra at Adam, who chumps block with one of his death-touching worms. With nothing else, he passes to me. For my turn, realizing I'm pretty much gonna die, I cast Red Sun Zenith, dealing 3 damage to Adam as a bit of vindication. At the end of my turn, Adam uses the opportunity to sacrifice Inventor's Fair, allowing him to go find Voltaic Key. Once again, during Adam's turn, he moves straight to his combat phase and swings all of his worms at Pat's Elspeth Tyrael. During Adam's second main phase, he floats 1 red mana thanks to Commander's Sphere and sacrifices it to draw a card. He then taps some lands and casts Scrap Mastery to return most of his graveyard at the cost of very little. Pat also gets some artifacts back, and he gets to have Solemn Simulacrum and Skullclamp enter the field. Meanwhile, also Andrew responds by eating a delicious Chips Ahoy cookie, which this video is no way sponsored by. Adam then sacrifices Mindslaver to take Pat's next turn, and passes. During Pat's turn, Adam equips Oketra with Sword of Light and Shadow and Skullclamp, and swings everything at me. I block Oketra with Steel Hellkite, and I take 7 damage. During Pat's second main phase, Adam taps all of his land and rocks, and passes to me. For my turn, I don't really have anything going, so I cast Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs, and pass pass to Adam. For Adam's turn, since he's gotten so good at it, he skips his main phase and moves straight to combat. He swings everything except for Koldoth the Forge Master at Pat, dealing 14 damage. During his second main phase, he recasts Daretti and using his -2 ability, brings back Mindslaver. Adam then sacrifices Mindslaver, and it becomes very clear that he's going to use Pat to kill me, and then on his turn kill Pat. Realizing this, we scoop it up and move to another game. Game review time. So there was a lot of deck borrowing in this game, so people weren't playing at their optimum, except for Adam, who seemed to play Daretti better than I've ever done it. It was pretty neat to see Selvala in action, and also Andrew had never played her before, so that was kind of cool. I'm sure there were a few more optimal plays, but he was able to get a lot of threats, and he was a big deal for most of the game. Pat's Oketra deck was pretty cool, and as far as mono white goes, I was a big fan of it. Unfortunately, he drew about 1 million planes, which frankly is probably Karma's way of paying him back since he was so silly with Entreat the Angels. I played Zozu the Punisher quite poorly. Unfortunately, I really didn't know that the deck was supposed to be a really punishing kind of stacksy deck, and I didn't do a really good job. It also didn't help that I got nailed by Annihilator 4. Please be sure to tune in every Monday at 11 AM Eastern Standard Time for a guaranteed new video, with a second video popping up sometime during the week. You can also follow me on Twitter at MTGMudsta, or check me out on Twitch at twitch.tv/MTGMudsta. This video is brought to you in part by support from my Patreons. If you're looking for a way to help out the channel, please be sure to visit the link below or in the About section. As always, thank you guys for watching, and please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more.